Oh, good morning and welcome again to TV3's New Day. Of course, Senior Bright is back in full force. Right after Ebony died, you resurfaced, right? Which catcher? You didn't see it coming?
I thought you were not going to remind me about this. Else the show would be
I have to, because everyone knows Ebony is your favorite. And you loved her, so.
Sad one there, but...
Which catcher umpire? You didn't see, or you didn't
no,
catch
I didn't
the witches?
see. This one I didn't see.
They blinded you and did it behind your back.
I think they went behind me and then they
did something.
But I mean, the belief is that God is in control. Right. I mean, these things happen, and it puts your faith into some level. It says, is there really a God who cares about us? Why is He taking the young ones away? But I know the belief is that, well, God knows best, and so whatever He does, we need to take it. But a sad one for me. I mean, I used that same road on my way back from the Upper East and West regions that day. We just went past the Sunyani section between 3 and 4. But she couldn't survive.
She couldn't survive,
yeah,
unfortunately,
sad,
though.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it very disturbing that 3-4 days after this gory accident that claimed 3 or 4 lives, we're still talking about prophecies instead of looking at the actual cause of the accidents. Nobody, the highway authority has not issued a statement to say that people that talk about the heap of sand on one side of the road, which on such a highway, busy highway, yes, they have not issued a statement. We have not had the medical people tell us what it is, why the people died, if it's internal bleeding, whichever it is. Nobody, and we're just feeding off prophecies. Are we serious as a people?
Exactly. But again, the
who
whole
prophesied what and how that has happened,
why that pastor couldn't
what couldn't have happened, and why didn't they and I'm thinking,
and why are our prophets, why do they sound like prophets of doom? Because for me, I mean, I understand that God reveals to redeem. If you see a prophecy and you can't do anything about it, I think you put God in a different light, because then the assumption is that we couldn't have done anything. God wanted to let her die, and so then why prophesy at that point? Because it's happened. It doesn't. I just see it as a business venture. People are trying to cash in on the fact that then it means I'm a good prophet, and so come to my church. But really, Ghanaians are playing around with God in totality.
Let me tell you,
take away all these fake
that stretch
prophets
of the road from the up part of the country down here is a terrible one. Look, there's a stretch from Wa to Bolga, which should take you 3 hours. You have to do that in 7 hours. Now, when you go past Bolga and you're coming down to, let's say, Kintamale, Kintampo, the potholes, the asphalt is gone bad. I think the filling wasn't done well, so the road is bumpy in a way. There are speed ramps that do not have signs. So you're speeding at 80 or 100, and suddenly then the ramp appears before you. And if you have a good car, it will jump and land. If you don't have, then when you jump, you might find yourself somewhere. So it's a real bad road, that stretch. So really terrible.
Can we then instigate that the contractor, you know, be brought to book?
Of course, but
because when you if you attend a driving school, you are given the signal that there's you know, a speed ramp ahead.
Right.
Okay. First you get the red sign, and then you get a blue sign. So if we don't have such signs,
several of them, they are not there.
Then the contractor didn't do a good job. If he didn't do a good job, the person who supervised also didn't do a good job. Whoever gave the contract and went to ascertain that the contract is being executed and paid the money didn't do a good job. We must begin to bring people to book. 4 lives. It's not a joke.
All right.
Anyway,
it's not a joke.
As a nation, we focus on the trivial issues.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's
important.
We major on the minors and minor on the majors.
Just around the Orgo Road
we're
here.
driving on prophecies.
Yes, just around the Orgo Road here in Accra. Someone has tipped chippings, okay, right on the road. I don't know, the person is trying to put up some structure on the right side when you're from the Cocoa Clinic section. And so he's tipped the chippings, and it's taking about a quarter of the road. And when you're driving, there's another car coming, your right tire will have to go on the chippings. And it's there. And there's a public property. Okay? So that's how, I don't know how to describe it, how we have become as a country.
I think that, look, the highway authority must make a statement. You know, the contractor, whoever it is, must be brought to book. Then we must find the real in this scientific age all we want to do is, I said that she was going to die, and they didn't come and see me, and so they died.
Okay.
Where is that?
Anthony.
No, right, you're back.
My girl is gone. It's a Sunday.
Johnny has been moved back to,
Okay.
Standing
attention.
It's just coincidental that we're wearing black,
Hey,
with a bit of
you
red
guys,
and white.
greetings from the Upper East and the West region. The guys love you people so much.
We love
they keep
them
talking
right
about
back.
Amma and Johnny. And
We love
those
them.
of
What
you
about me?
Anthony.
But you are a part-time worker.
Did they say we were going to get married? Because I heard somebody talk about that.
Why you
Why
had
are
a
you looking at
prophecy?
me like
They
that?
kept asking.
You like prophecy?
No, I don't like this prophecy. This is the prophecy of doom.
They kept asking if
Johnny, you know
Johnny.
someone is going to call you by the end of the show.
Exactly, CEO. Why are you putting yourself in trouble?
You know what? They kept asking if Johnny is in love with Amma. Then I said, no, let me do Amma in small. So I told them, Johnny's taste is not Amma. He is higher.
Certainly, it's the other way around. But guys, Anthony Jackson has all the news for us today.
Well, let's start off with the news for this morning. Hello and good morning. My name is Anthony Jackson. Our authorities at the Agona Swedra Medea Muslim Hospital in the Central Region are calling on government to pay the 15-month arrears of the National Health Insurance Scheme owed them. This, according to them, is adversely affecting the smooth running of the hospital.
The Ahmadiyya Muslim Hospital was established in 1971 as a mission hospital to provide quality healthcare delivery. The hospital provides healthcare to Agona Swedru and its environs, thereby reducing the pressure on the Swedru Municipal Hospital. Lack of frequent payments of the health insurance monies by government to the hospital remains a challenge. Hospital authorities say for 2 months there has not been any drug at the hospital and they had to rely on the Ahmadiyya Muslim mission to operate. Currently, the hospital is undergoing some financial constraints due to the non-payments of health insurance arrears of 15 months to the tune of 1.8 million cedis.
The Christmas was coming, so all of our Christian staff, we paid from our pocket or we write to the mission. And our mission then, if the amount is big, then our mission support us and we use that money in paying their salaries, our drugs, our water, electricity, and running our routine activities.
Meanwhile, the hospital has commissioned a new 10-bed and 2 delivery bed capacity maternity block christened Nasira Maternity Wing at a cost of 350,000 cedis to help cater for the large number of maternal cases it receives. The medical director of the hospital, Dr. Khan Rafi, commended the Central Regional Health Directorate for its enormous contribution to the well-being of the facility. The Amir and missionary in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission Ghana, Alhaji Malvi Nur Mohammed bin Sali, said they will continue to establish schools and hospitals to better the lives of the people. Both Member of Parliament for Agona West, Cynthia Morrison, and Municipal Chief Executive Justina Marigold Asan pledged to support the facility to continue to offer healthcare delivery.
Now, about 15 newborn babies lose their lives every month at the neonatal intensive care unit of the Techiman Holy Family Hospital. The medical director of the hospital, Dr. Ernest Amayao, who disclosed this, blames the situation on the late reporting to the facility by pregnant women. Here's a report, Johnson Techi.
Records at the neonatal intensive care unit of the Techiman Holy Family Hospital indicate about 2,000 babies are delivered at the facility yearly. The facility has only 3 incubators. Medical director of the hospital, Dr. Ernest Amayao, was worried lack of logistics for delivery is a major setback to operations.
We have all the specialists to provide quality healthcare delivery, but unfortunately we do lack some logistics to work with. And so I will appeal to authorities to ensure that we equip our hospitals with the required sophisticated logistics that our doctors and nurses would work with.
The specialist pediatrician at the Holy Family Hospital Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, Dr. Jacqueline Asibe, spoke about challenges at the hospital.
2 or 3 babies will have to share incubators, so we'll be very happy to get support for more incubators, warmers to keep babies warm. We need monitors to monitor sick newborns. We need perfusers to deliver special drugs to the sick newborns.
The senior nursing officer at the Neonatal and Intensive Care Unit of the hospital, Ernestina Owusu Ejewa, also expressed concern about nursing mothers sleeping outside on the bare floor.
At times, some mothers get up with their dirty clothing because they lie on the floor and come and pick their babies on the wall, which is not right. They end up sending infections to the babies.
And our government has been urged to take off taxes on imported medical supplies offered for free distribution to disadvantaged health institutions and patients in the country. President of Breast Care International, Dr. Beatrice Wiafe Adai, says the huge taxes and high import duty discourages humanitarian aid and organizations from sending medical equipment and consumables to the country.
Dr. Wiafe Adai was worried about the reduction of consignment clearance days at the port. She said they have to pay huge amount of money at the port before being allowed to clear their medical supplies, even though they are to be distributed free of charge to poor but needy patients and health institutions. Dr. Beatrice Wiafe Adai presented hypertensive and diabetic drugs, infusions and autoclaves to 8 public and private health institutions in the country. The medical equipment and consumables worth thousands of US dollars were donated by Direct Relief, a US-based humanitarian aid organization. President of BCI warned beneficiary institutions not to sell the drugs to patients. Beneficiary institutions commended BCI for partnering with Direct Relief to alleviate the plight of poor but needy patients.
Now, some vegetable farmers in Obuohu and communities near Begoro in the eastern region say they depend on their own knowledge in applying agrochemicals on their farms. Lucy Ayambila engaged some of the farmers who say they do not have the slightest idea of the existence of agric extension officers.
This is what the farmers are saying, that they usually go in for the chemicals at the agrochemical shops and then apply them without following precautions. And this is of great concern to the nation because the consumer's health is at stake.
According to the vegetable growers, extension officers hardly visit the communities, which explains why the farmers do not know the work of the extension officers. It was revealed that sometimes knapsacks are washed in water bodies after spraying, whereas protective cloths are not worn. At a training workshop organized for them by a renowned vegetable farmer in Winneba in the central region, the farmers told TV3 News they even go to the extent of tasting fertilizer solution and other poisonous chemicals to determine the nutrient content.
Because we don't get the required knowledge on the treatment of crops, we usually face problems at the nascent stage.
A green pepper grower, William Esari, raised concern over difficulties assessing support.
1,000. Now me dey ashe me create juma, they support me create juma. At the end of the season, me could 2,000.
The interest on loans alone deters us from applying. We are pleading with government to shift attention to vegetable farmers.
He also spoke about the havoc threats caused to vegetable farmers in the area. However, an agronomist, Zachary Musa, carefully took farmers through good and modern farming techniques.
So, Ajengo ekunipa nti ukobonne tina na opeso harvest koduma
He advised farmers to take precautions in order to preserve and protect the lives of consumers and raised concern on the country's agricultural system.
Most of the fertilizers that we are really providing them are for cereal crops, okay, like maize, and most are they are not for vegetables. And so if you apply that to vegetable, you really reduce your production. So we need the farmers to be trained. We need the input dealers to undergo training. Then we need the MOFA officials to be equipped with what will help them to really educate the farmers to get what really will serve them better.
And now green pepper farmers at Winneba and Bawadze say they are out of business following attack on their crops by thrips in March 2017. Lucy Ayambila once again has been engaging some of the farmers who say they are mapping out their own strategies and methods of farming to be able to bounce back.
Where I'm standing currently used to be covered with green pepper and tomato plants, but it is not so now. The whole place has been taken over by weeds. This is because of the destruction caused by the thrips.
For close to a year now, green pepper growers in Winneba and its surroundings have been battling with thrips. The insects have destroyed several acres of vegetables, particularly green pepper and tomatoes. The situation was worse during the dry season as farmers could not grow green pepper.
We will need government to help control the thrips because this is where our livelihood depends on.
According to the farmers, all efforts to control the thrips, including directives from the agric officers at the initial stages, yielded no result.
I have about 30 workers I was working with, but as we speak now, it's about 4 people now because there's a whole lot of problem, and even how to pay them now is very difficult.
The farmers say though government has been helping them with subsidized fertilizer, little attention has been given to the problem at hand.
If we get the fertilizer cheap with a low cost and we plant and it's not working, I think we are not getting any profit out of it because we are doing business, and whatever money that we invest, we have to get a profit out of it. But we are investing the money without getting anything. I think it's normally, it's not helping us.
He, however, debunked allegations that they have not been able to control the thrips due to wrong application of chemicals. He added agric officers should be equipped to enable them carry out their duties effectively.
A new shiitake mushroom variety has been introduced in Ghana at Bernard Bempa Mushroom Farms of Techiman in the Bonohafo region. The medicinal mushroom is a key food in Asia, America, Europe, and some African countries. A report by Johnson Techi. Well, moving on to other stories from the mushroom story. Government has secured a $40 million World Bank grant to improve facilities in 75 senior high schools and the upgrade of 42 others into model schools. The grant will also facilitate the completion of community day secondary school projects.
Effective education in Ghana has been hindered by inadequate infrastructure from basic through to tertiary level. This was heavily exposed during the implementation of the free senior high school policy in October last year. Till date, many senior high schools are still struggling to address the huge infrastructure deficit. This prompted government to go into negotiation with the World Bank to help improve infrastructure.
Under the Secondary Education Improvement Project, government has successfully negotiated an additional $40 million from the World Bank to expand the project to include facilities upgrading in 75 senior high schools in the country. We are also continuing with physical works on the existing community day schools to accommodate the anticipated rise of student numbers in the coming years.
Minister of Education Matthew Opoku Prempeh, in a speech read for him by the Director of Pre-Tertiary Education, Katrina Piapinkra, also announced plans to upgrade 42 senior high schools into model status. These were disclosed at the 68th speech day of the St. Mary's Senior High School on the theme, Empowering Girls to Make Responsible Life Decisions for a Productive Future.
You will change the world tomorrow. However, you must start by empowering yourselves today, so that when you are faced with making the difficult but necessary decisions for yourselves, and maybe sometimes others, you will do so with strength, confidence, and wisdom.
Headmistress of St. Mary's Senior High School, Grace Mensah lamented the negative effect of inadequate infrastructure on effective academic work.
Students really want to use the library. They've made request upon request, even for us to put a period on the timetable for library studies so that they can go there and research on their own. It's a classroom that we've converted with just some tables so that they can sit around and read, but it's not attractive enough. So now they don't even want to go in there. If we could get a well-equipped library.
This year's event was co-organized by the 1993-95 year group of the old students of the school, which has responded to some challenges in the school, including the construction of an electronic gate to the school.
Now, over the years, the construction of schools has been considered to be the sole preserve of government. A 65-year-old former lecturer, Dr. Augustine Awuni, has on his own initiative constructed classroom blocks at Paologu in the Upper East region to improve the quality of education of pupils.
Teachers and pupils of Paologu Primary School have had to learn under very harsh conditions. Their school had no roof over their heads and desks to write on. Lessons were conducted on the floor and in harsh weather conditions. After several failed attempts at getting assistance, Dr. Augustine Awuni, a native of Paologu, financed the construction of a 6-unit primary school block with support from a Japanese philanthropist.
This place has no government school. The last government school died in 1996. And all these structures that you see behind me are the work of one man with a will and a community with a zeal to carry it out. So for me, the way forward now is I have pleaded with a member of parliament. I've also pleaded with some people. We need one of these community senior high schools.
An 8-unit residential block housing teachers was also built. A 3-unit classroom block is also under construction for the Paologu Kindergarten School. The head teacher of the kindergarten is Comfort Abukari.
We have only got one structure, and that is one classroom. But the rest of the classrooms are under trees. For that matter, whenever there are rains or storm, we gather all the children in the one classroom that is being built by the community.
Currently, there's no senior high school in the area to absorb junior high school graduates.
If we have the community senior high schools, it will help out these boys here, or these children, from going to Boku, Nalergu, Navrongo, Sandema, because if there's a higher institution, that will give them the motivation. Without that, most of them get pregnant.
Management and staff of Media General Group on Sunday joined Lighthouse Chapel, Kodesh in Accra to thank God for the successes achieved for the past 2 decades. Group Chief Executive Officer Pearl Isuamenta says there are plans to implement new strategies to keep the brand and its #1 spots and reach out to other countries on the continent.
Lighthouse Chapel, Kodesh, where management and staff of TV3, Onuya FM, 3FM and MG Digital, all subsidiaries of the Media General Group, who had come to thank God of the successes of the media group.
Last year we celebrated 20 years of TV3. In January we celebrated 2 years of 2 of our radio stations, which is Onuya FM and 3FM. And I'm just grateful and thankful to God for everything that is in my life, in the life of Media General, and I'm sure that those of us who came to church and even those at home feel the same.
Bishop of Kodesh, Bishop Eddie Fabin, in his sermon delivered from Jeremiah chapter 1 verses 11, charged the group to focus on the future and make it better than its current successes.
The Lord said in verse 12 of that same scripture, it says that you have seen well,
I will watch over my word to perform it. So what do you see? The sky is the limit. Somebody said heaven is the limit. You know, you can see, if you can see as far as you can see.
3FM 92.7 was launched in January 2016 with the aim of transforming the airwaves with unbiased, innovative, creative and other developmental programs to the public. Though young in the media industry, it has some awards to its credit.
We came on the scene when the radio industry in Ghana was and is still quite competitive, and it means that we had to work extra harder to, you know, own our space. And I think we've done that very well with the help of God and the listeners. We hope that the coming years will be more profitable and will increase in numbers and territory.
We can only be grateful to God. I think it's been a wonderful 2 years, particularly for radio. We've done well, we've come in, and the evidence is there for all to see. There are many stations that have come in and have not been able to survive it. We've done our best, we've survived it, we've run campaigns that have been successful. For instance, we've done a Let There Be Light campaign, which many people patronized and made donations.
The Akan-speaking radio station, which was also launched in January 2016, has made a positive impact in society, and workers are grateful to God for the strength.
Thanks to God for having brought us this far, and we also want to say thanks to the board, the management, the staff, and most importantly, the clients, as well as all the other people who have made it possible for UNIA to come this far.
Whilst thanking God here at Kadesh with a Thanksgiving service, particularly, we owe you, the listeners, a lot, and all we can say is, in fact, keep listening and tune in every time, any day, and be part of our programming. Without you, we can't do it.
Well, that's it for the news this morning. We take a short break. New Day returns shortly.
Let's do news headlines now. We'll start off with Ghanaian Times. It says, health alert, Lassa fever scare. Ghana Health Service has raised red flags. Also, government is to deploy 8,700 CCTV cameras at police stations across the country, and that's coming from the Vice President. Also, the Belgian Vice PM says Ghana is capable of weaning self from foreign aid. And then finally, coming from TUC, they say resource GSS to churn out accurate information on employment. But guys, the health scare, it's real because it's right out there in the neighboring country of Nigeria. And of course, you have to be on the alert before it spreads to us, because it's one of the viral hemorrhagic fevers, which is like Ebola. Right. And I mean, the symptoms may mimic malaria and typhoid and the common things that we get around. So it's just good and important to alert everybody so that you yourself as a patient would be, you know, you'd know these symptoms and then you'd want to visit the nearest hospital.
Maybe you should share some of the symptoms with us.
So there's fever, there's general malaise, there's joint pains, that non-specific kind of just ill feeling. You don't really feel well. And so
is it a kind that can be transferred from one person to the other just by contact?
No, from what we know, it's usually transmitted through the rats. The rat is the one that transmits the organism, and so it's either the fecal content, the urine, the saliva, the blood of that animal could. So those of you who have been killing in crying in your homes, all in the name of
I'm trying to ask, does it mean therefore that the rat would have to move from Nigeria to Ghana or what?
Oh no, but once a person does contract it, then also there could be the likelihood of transmitting it virally through body fluids.
You know, Senior Bright, there's the tendency of, say, having a canned drink that's been stored in a warehouse for a long time. Some rat is going to defecate or pee on it, and then you take it, you don't clean it, nothing, and just take it. Exactly. I don't know. I'm just, you know, from a layman's perspective.
I am asking if by contact you can easily get
an infected human being. Yes. No, it's transmitted through food.
Okay.
So ideally, the rat should have that organism picked up. So yeah, you mean, well, from Nigeria to Ghana. Yeah, but maybe there are Ghanaians who import foods that may have been contaminated in Nigeria like beans, or any other country, and then bring it here. You would eat it.
So if a trader, you know, there are a lot of Ghanaian traders who cross the border almost every day to Nigeria and back. So if one of them is infected, and is arriving in Ghana, there is a danger of anyone here getting it. Okay, so then I really asking what if the health service says it is alerting us, then exactly what are they doing at our various ports? There are a couple of stations we know just across Paloma here on the Ring Road Central. There's a Nigerian station there. If you go to the I think the New Plant station, there's another one there. So, yes, people keep moving in and out.
STC as well. Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what the alert is about and how it is going to be done. But does it mean that people are on alert checking out for such persons to report them to the nearest facility?
I'm sure
or just
the
issue the
surveillance
alert
is just being mounted. As to exactly what they're doing, maybe we don't know. But once they have at least
should tell us what they are doing.
Well, they say in their report that they have reactivated its disease surveillance system, especially on the border towns in the wake of the outbreak. And so I'm sure they're putting out things to try and detect if any person is bringing in goods that have been contaminated or not.
Okay.
Well, we hope you're safe, but I'm interested also in the surveillance cameras that were told. I mean,
the various
for me, I've been asking after the Kwabinya incident, the fact that we've been able to arrest some of the suspects and we have brought them to book. I've been asking about the state of security at our various police stations. Go to Kandishi, go to Mamobi, go to Babi, go to Asawasi, everywhere in this country. What is the state of security at our police stations, and how do the people themselves feel, the policemen feel safe or comfortable to be able to discharge the duty that we've given them? It's not, nothing has improved since then, and all we get to hear is that we're retooling. I mean, do we know how long it takes, for example, to get these things fitted? In any case, some of the police stations don't even have electricity to start with. So if you have a surveillance camera, what is it going to run on?
So again, Johnny, the question comes to when they do these things, it should be holistic rather than a reactionary approach to a specific problem. Because I laud the idea of having CCTV cameras, because obviously if there's any rampage or any mishappening in a particular police station, you can trace it and track it. But again, this is tied in with your national identification because, and also Ghana Post. After I've seen the picture of a particular suspect, how do I pick the person up? How do I trace? The contact tracing then becomes very important. So in as much as you put the CCTV, again, even the people on duty to look at the CCTV as it rolls. Are we going to wait until something bad has happened and then we come back and all watch the video and then try and use state resources to locate these people? So it's, again, a holistic approach needs to be done as they even put these
the CCTV is supposed to have a backup where the data you collect via the camera is stored. Do we have enough data? And I'm asking this because we've seen the CCTV cameras placed atop the what do you call it? Traffic lights in town. Where does that data go? And we see people jumping the red light every now and then. Where does that data go? How come nobody's been picked up and made an example for people to know? And when you ask, they'll tell you it is not necessarily for traffic offenses why we have those cameras. But I mean, then another school of thought will tell you, oh, the cameras are there to prevent people from breaking the law. There's one, I think, at Dankwa Circle. There's one at Nima. There's one up at Flagstaff House. There's one at there's one at Obechebi. So it's there. I mean, and nobody has been. So what is the guarantee that this would? We are not being pessimistic, but we want to look at the issues as they are.
I think, Johnny,
if you're a policeman and you leave home and you tell your wife and children you're going to work and you don't come back, really?
With a CCTV solve?
Who will go and apply to serve in the police
aside with what Amma said about putting together a total system to check these things. I mean, the cameras are good, like Amma said, but if a suspect is able to walk into a police station and perhaps deposit some illegal thing, how do you track the person? Okay, like there's no national ID, and so the cameras might pick the faces all right. But how do you track the person?
Facial recognition.
If you saw the pictures, the Kwabenya police, I don't know if they were those who released the pictures of the suspect. I thought what we see in the American movies, when the suspect is arrested, there's a police camera that will do a face and then a profile.
I said it here, that look, and even the height, your color of your eyes and all of that.
And we saw pictures of people lying in their hospital beds, and I said, so this is all the police had. How do you properly identify someone lying on a hospital bed and said that indeed this is the person the police is looking for. So the cameras are good, but I think that it should be a means to achieving something. The rest
we have been told over and over again how our police are among the top ranked in terms of professionalism on the continent of Africa. Then I ask, okay, comparable to who? As compared to who? Who are we comparing our police to? Is it the police in South Africa? Is it the police in Botswana? Is it the police in Kigali? Who are we comparing them to say that, well, they are professional and are top-notch? Because the painful truth is that even when we get these photos, the CCTV picks them, even to run the facial recognition, you know that elsewhere they just pick, you know, a side of your face and they can run the facial recognition, give you possible suspects and they can go after them. What is our case? Okay. In our case, what is it? What is it? What is our case?
We certainly don't know, but we hope to see what our case is. But let's start on Daily Heritage.
I found a very interesting trend. I went to the police headquarters the other time, and then they asked me to leave my phone at the reception. Right. And I'm thinking, okay, so I left my phone at the reception. If my phone is a detonator for a bomb that I had, and then my objective is that, oh, I get through it, I will detonate it when and then you keep the phone there, and you just take the phone, sign it, and then put it in a tray, and I go 2 hours, then I come and pick it and go.
It wasn't scanned.
Okay. No, it wasn't scanned. They just took it and put it in a tray. And gave me a card that I should go. So I went in. I went to do. Hopefully, I'm not a bad person. So I went in. I went to do my interview. When I finished, I came. I picked my phone and went away. Then I was wondering, okay, what happened?
We'll get there.
Slow but sure. Anyway, let's touch on Daily Heritage. It says, nasty.
Maybe we are thinking too much.
We certainly are. Nasty. Students share dining hall with goats at Kloa Gogo SHS. And those are the very gory pictures there of goats under the tables in the dining hall. Also, students are being served from the floor. And this is where, of course, the goats will leave their excreta. But also, as Akufo-Addo, now spokesperson for Rawlings, NDC MPs are asking. Those are the interesting stories on the
when I saw the heritage, I kept asking a few questions. Why? When we were in school, there were people who call countrymen and women. Yeah, but are they not there to go and drive these goats away? You can see them playing around, at least. And the students too. Charlie, your prefect, they can easily drive these goats away.
But the goats have made
I'm not sure they live there.
So I'm sure when
they come in when they smell the food. And so when it's time for meals, can't the prefect get these goats out until they have finished?
Well, I mean, that's if the dining hall is properly walled.
It is not.
If it's not walled, it becomes you know, and you know these are goats. They are not sheep. It's not. These are papu. They are very stubborn to handle. You know.
So I can just imagine a scenario where you sack one goat from table A. By the time you get to table 5, he's back. You know. Okay. So it's probably they should get a fencing once they can't jump over or breach and then maybe.
Is it Kloagogo? They are lucky. At least they have a hall without the fence, and then
they have good visitors.
But I mean, if you go to the Bongo district, there's a school there, Zoko Senior High School. They don't even have a hall
to start with.
They eat in the open, and so I guess the goats will enjoy that place better than here.
But even Apeteshi is also brewed on that particular campus, so they've got a lot going. Yes.
Apeteshi.
Yes.
Oh, it's a factory.
That's a pure joint, just on the school compound.
Wow. Right. And the students go there?
We hope not, but there's...
But this is...
Close to one of the classrooms is a joint where Apeteshi, a local alcoholic gin, is brewed. Information gathered indicates that the brewing has been taking place at the joint for the past 26 years.
Are you kidding
me? The students complain that they are unable to concentrate during instructional hours due to the smell of the Apeteshi. And they said they are also unable to concentrate because they are easily distracted by animals that roam their makeshift classroom while bleating.
So this is edible ethanol?
Yes.
Okay.
And inhalable ethanol. I mean,
inhalable.
Just because they have been on the structure for 26 years alone is even worrying. And this is the same place designated to be a school. How did that happen? How do you allow that to go on the blind side of Ghana?
The question we should be asking is, what is GES's surveillance? What does it look like? And do they have any at all? Or the focus is just around Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, BA, Tamale, so those in the hinterlands, they don't get attention. I mean, this does not look good at all. First, I thought it was just a goat, so they could even use some for goat soup.
Well, there is more than that.
But there's Akweteshi too. Come on, please.
John, what about the community elders, the leaders of the community? Okay, this is your school. Your kids are being trained there, right? Now, whoever is brewing or selling there might be a citizen or perhaps is a stranger who is doing business in there. Can we move that person away from the school? Okay, is the chief of the community aware? Are the leaders aware that indeed this is happening there? Are they not interested? And the headmaster of the school, perhaps, what has he done about it? Can he, I know headmasters and community leaders share quite a close relationship. Can they talk to them to get whoever is there to move that production house away from there? So these are issues.
And even the goats, are they not owned by individuals who are rearing them?
But because you see, it brings to question our concept of not having ranches in properly demarcated places for our livestock. But on the note of the Akweteshi brewery or distillery, I must say that sometimes, I don't know how long the school has been there, but sometimes you find that these people were plying their trade there before they started the school, or they were doing that side by side, and the school has decided to expand. And he feels that, well, this is my portion. You know, in a village, everybody has their portion. So this is my portion. And so perhaps they must have a conversation with him and start looking at maybe compensation as well on how to handle some of these things. But this certainly is not good.
But the parents, the town elders, I think they can come together before even they roll it out to government. Because certainly there are some small things that a community should be, you should want to do for your own children. Exactly. Because I went to Wesley Girls over the weekend, and because it was a speech day, and they acted a play out in light of the free SHS, and there was a child who was saying she has the free will to greet, she has the free will to go to class, whatever, making it seem like it was irresponsible on people's parts. And that's where I see this going. Just because there's free SHS or there's a free way of handling things doesn't mean the parents too should share responsibilities, because ultimately your child is there for education, and it should be holistic, right from when she enters up to when she comes out. But if you know your child is being disturbed by goats whilst in school, it should bother you enough to attempt to do something about it.
It's even more worrying because, you know, if you've ever been to secondary school, for people break bounds to go and drink. They just want to practice youthful exuberance. People break bounds to go and drink, do all
here you are, it's right in your
so you have the
compound.
booze by your side. I mean, and the senior housemaster will go home. You know, and everybody else. This is not good.
I think the community must take that decision to deal with this. I think it's not good at all.
But guys, maybe let's touch on the final newspaper, The Finder. It says, we are clean. Companies reject findings in Auditor General's report, and they call for investigations and prosecutions. Also, the Vice President has said government is to rehabilitate police stations. Then NSS goes paperless with new system. Ghana Health Service also enhances surveillance on Lassa fever.
That story is quite worrying for me. The We're Clean story, the Auditor General's report, issues of malfeasance, overpayment, and all that that the Auditor General is raising. And then the companies are suggesting that, hey, be careful, because we really don't accept some of the things that have come out of it. For instance, there are a couple of companies which are claiming that what they were said to have been paid and the fact that they don't deserve it, there are issues that they are raising queries. So I don't know how they can deal with it, but I guess the Auditor General will need to
clarify
the whole issue, because you see, these are companies, and the media is also reporting them as having done one thing illegal. And so if there are some misunderstanding, and I guess the Auditor General's job is to quickly come in.
I think that this is just about paperwork, you know. Sit down with the people and cross-check what they have. Sometimes, I mean, we all make mistakes. Sometimes you may over-calculate what somebody has earned or under-calculate, whichever way it is. Let's have a conversation with them.
The document because submitted to the auditor
their names are in the newspaper. So, we will make reference to it you know,
on radio, in the newspapers, on TV.
You see, not everybody listens to the full detail in the news.
It's a company A has done
yes,
this.
Company A, that's it.
And they take it.
And that's, you see, the law does not allow or does not require that the Auditor General should call AMA and say that AMA, you were overpaid this, and so it is wrong. The law doesn't require the Auditor General to do that. And so as soon as it detects that this is what is being done, then it throws out that information. And I think that's quite bad, because if the person has some issues with it, you throw that out, the person's credibility is affected.
Why does the Auditor General choose to go the populist way, if you will, and broadcast it as opposed to calling the people?
Well, that's the law. The law does not require the Auditor General to call the companies and sit down with them. So it's not done anything
because
wrong.
this may hurt business. Trust me, it may hurt business.
Anyway, guys, we'll take a break at this point. We'll be back with more here on New Day. Stay with us.
Welcome back. And Daily Graphic on the front page says, health alert at Lassa fever kills 31 in Nigeria. Free senior high school policy needs periodic fine-tuning. That's the Chief Justice talking there. And then we're ready for President's sanitation agenda. That's the Daily Graphic. The Today newspaper, another accident at spot where Ebony, 2 others died. And then TUC jabs government over employment data. The Business Day says income tax rises. Those are some of the papers this morning. My guest to do the talking to my extreme left is a member of parliament for the Ifutu constituency, Honorable Alexander Afeyomakin. Good morning.
Morning, right.
Hope you're doing great.
Yeah, but it's great. It's tiring, but we have to continue.
You're soldiering on for God and country, I guess. Thank you for your time. And also the member of parliament for the at Daklu constituency, Honorable Kwame Agboja, is also here. Good morning, too.
Good morning.
Hope you're also doing great.
Not bad at all.
Thanks for your time. Now, let's start this morning with this story on the statesman that says that don't be partisan, President tells police. And that's the Vice President who spoke on behalf of the President. He admonished officers and men of the Ghana Police Service to resist the temptation to tie their destinies to the fortunes of political parties or to the ruling party of the day, as they have a unique role in safeguarding the integrity of the nation. According to the President, a highly professional police service capable of discharging its duty without fear or favor would guarantee the safety of all citizens and foster national unity and cohesion. Vice President gave the admonition when he read a speech on behalf of the President at the 47 cadet officers graduation parade at the National Police Training School at Tesano here in Accra. So that's the story, quite one that should attract a lot of commentary, particularly when there are concerns of the police service seemingly being partisan, depending on which government is in power. Now, the Vice President said that it is in everybody's interest that the police service retains the neutrality and professionalism guaranteed under the Constitution. Governments have term limits, and in a multi-party democracy, parties win and lose power. It is good for the health of the nation that this is so, and says that is the reason why the police service should not tie its well-being or otherwise to the fortunes of political parties, nor to the ruling party of the day. Honorable Alexander Markin, let me begin with you. Particularly when there seem to be the law that allows the president to change or replace the head of a service when he or she is in power, then it seems out there to the rank and file that anytime the president or a president makes that replacement or change, then they would have to also kind of follow what the government of the day. Isn't that the issue, the situation?
Well, let's draw the distinction. Exercise of discretion in the discharge of executive powers as president does not make such appointments partisan appointments. The fact that the president, in accordance with the Constitution, has made an appointment for somebody to head a public institution or any of the state agencies does not make that person a party member. The person is serving the state. So that is one.
What about the perception?
Well, I'll deal with the perception.
Okay.
2, the Constitution itself places an injunction on certain category of public office holders to the effect that such individuals who work with either as heads of such institutions or as officers of such institutions cannot be part of our partisan politics. And I recall I took this matter to the Supreme Court, arguing that 94(3)(b) must be construed in a sense that other officers of certain public institutions must also be injuncted. But the Supreme Court was clear that those who have been listed, those individuals or those institutions that have been listed, are those categories that the Constitution seeks to injunct. Those outside cannot. So, for instance, somebody working at Ministry of Education is a civil servant, and there's a constitutional injunction on that person, and cannot be a member of a political party openly, cannot hold a card, cannot be elected into a political party executive office. But somebody at the Ghana Education Service can, because such an individual has not been listed. Same applies to Highway Authority, Ministry of Roads and Highways. Officers there are civil servants. Ghana Highway Authority staff. An officer of Ghana Highway Authority can be the regional chairman of NDC or MPP. The situation is like in Winneba, where a highway authority staff is the constituency chairman of NDC. The Supreme Court said yes. The Constitution allows that. So that would have to be understood. So we go to the presidential appointment. Perception. Address the issue of perception.
Right.
Yes, it is something that we all struggle to reconcile. It is perceived that, oh, this person is our man, he's not our man. This person, the way he thinks, oh, he's likely to support the government of the day. But, right, until recently, I had my own views about this issue of he's our man, he's not our man. But when you get into a public office, then you begin to appreciate the fact that people you need to work with must identify with your ideology or must somewhat agree with you in order for you to carry out your vision. I'm not saying that people should be yes men or to be yes people. But people would appreciate that, look, you have a vision, and that vision is time bound and they must support. People who must appreciate the fact that by virtue of the office they hold, they are not supposed to sabotage. And I have realized that most of the times people allow their partisan views to override the national interest. The fact that it is an NDC government and he's an MPP, he would want to do everything to undermine. The fact that it is an MPP government and he's an NDC, he would want to do everything possible to undermine. I don't want to cite specific examples this morning, but it is something which is real. So if there is this seeming perception, I wouldn't be surprised, and it shouldn't be out of place.
I see.
But what is important is for people to know that if they are in a public office, public servant or civil servant, what have you, their duty is to serve the state. You come to Efutu, the district commander who was appointed in the NDC era is still there as the district police commander. The district crime officer who was appointed in the NDC era is still the district police commander. MTTU, all those officers. I have not influenced or have not asked for anybody's transfer, or I have not had the cause to suspect or think that these people would want to undermine the leadership of Efutu or the government of the day in terms of their role as security chiefs, because they have demonstrated professionalism and neutrality. The district BNI officer is still there, because we look at it and say, look, Oye Nejuma, allow him. But if me sitting here, at any point, I suspect that a district crime officer is acting partisan, I can assure you, right, I won't pretend, I will do everything to get him out of Efutu, because...
And replace him with someone you're comfortable with.
And replace him with someone who is neutral and would want to do his security work.
I see.
So the perception is there. There are some of our police officers or some of our public servants who, whether out of exuberance or what, they cannot hide their partisan colors. It is obvious. Me, when I see a police officer, I meet a civil servant for the first time, interact with the person, I can tell you that this man is NDC or MPP. I can tell you, or the person is neutral.
So from what
from
what you just said, then it means that the police can never be non-partisan.
No, don't let us talk about the non-partisan. The police must be non-partisan, but their conduct, they can. It's individual matter.
But you said the person sitting at the top of an institution or a system should share your ideology. So
no, I have not. Please don't misconstrue my statement. I am saying that must identify if you are a leader.
Right. Must identify.
Yes, if you that does not mean that he's being partisan. Let's cite an example here.
But if the person identifies with you,
of course,
and he's a leader,
that is the government, the state, the leadership of the day.
So he's going
this
to
is the direction.
He's going to run that institution based on that same ideology, and that means he's going to instruct those down to also do same.
Very well. Right. You have
quickly, so that I go to
very well. You have a chief executive in this institution who comes with his or her own vision. You must be seen to be complying. You must be seen to be acting in accord with that vision. You may have your own views, but this is the leadership. You can express such views, but the chief executive say, look, this is my agenda. We are building a team. Make your input. But don't let your own personal views override the corporate position. Okay. I'm saying that it is an NPP government. It is an NPP agenda. This governance is anchored on the ideology and the manifesto that we sold to Ghanaians. So everything that Mr. President is doing is in accord with what we have told Ghanaians we want to do. So if you are a head of an institution and you disagree with the free SHS, your duty is not to sabotage.
Okay.
Your duty is to act in accord. You may not like Dr. Matthew Pokru Pempe. You may not like him as a minister. You may not like the free SHS. You may be against. But your public pronouncement must be constructive.
Okay.
Your private conduct must be constructive to support the vision, but not to undermine.
Okay.
In that case, you would have agreed, identify with the ideology of the day, not necessarily being part of that party.
Okay.
You are a civil servant.
I'm grateful.
You do your work. Another party comes into office. You are serving the state, because that new party would come with its own vision.
Okay, I'm grateful. Alexander Fenyo Markin is member of parliament for the Futu. Kwame, so can the way we are the arrangement of the system where a president can decide to replace or appoint the head of certain institutions, can they ever make them non-partisan?
Well, thank you very much, my brother. Good morning to your cherished viewers, especially those from Adaklu constituency. I've always said when I say I'm a friend of the police, doesn't mean I've been going to the police station all the time or something like that. But I have a soft spot for the security agencies. Myself and my brother served even on the Defense and Interior Committee some time ago I think you still said.
Yeah, he's with the committee.
The call by the president, which was read by the vice president, I think is a good call. It touched on the things you needed to say to a police force like ours, where our country is heavily polarized. I've always said, I don't know any neutral Ghanaian in terms of politics. No pastor, no imam, no anybody. Everybody in Ghana is partisan, or believes is political, not partisan. It's political. They may not be holding party cards, but in their hearts, they know where they belong, and there's nothing wrong with that. I also agree partly with my colleague that you may not believe in an ideology of a party. Don't forget, many people have their own, were born into certain way of thinking politically. But when you occupy a certain position, how you discharge your duties should not be necessarily based on what you believe. It should be based on the collective. But there's a problem. The problem is, in fact, I don't have any way of influencing who becomes, Adaklu is a district, but we don't have a proper district police command yet that I will know who put somebody there. I know that police administration have their own way of appointing officers based on qualification, experience, and other things. I don't know how the guy in charge of Adaklu got there, as a matter of fact. But I think we should be worried if I have the right or the capability of influencing who becomes the district commander in Adaklu. I'm a politician. I think it will be a dangerous precedence. Whoever comes to lead
if he's not professional.
Oh, yeah, if the person is not professional, yes. It should not be because he doesn't believe in my ideology. Yes. I'll give you an example. Recently, the president had to suspend a regional minister because the police carried out what they thought professionally was supposed to be done. This regional minister probably thought, why did you arrest people belonging to my political ideology? Leave them.
When I'm in power.
Exactly. The president disagreed with that. Some of us believe the president didn't even have the right to do that in the way he did it. But it's a discussion we can have on another day. Do you believe that if every regional minister, every MP, every DC begins to act in consonance with the behavior of the suspended regional minister, don't you see a chaos in this country? I think politicians should stay away a bit. The Constitution has made it in such a way that the president is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. I think the vice president is the chairman of the police council and another thing, which is what the Constitution says. Nobody can fault it. However, moving beyond that, giving powers to MPs, DCs, and other things, simply because you don't agree politically or you perceive an action of the police to be not in consonance with a certain political ideology is dangerous. Look, the police, if we give them the right, the free way to do their job professionally, believe me, this country, they will do their work. However, there's also a problem. Anybody who is an IGP today, when government changes, he's probably looking for the next job because he knows by precedence, not NPP or only or something like that. You are out of the job.
If you go back
exactly,
since
you're out of your job.
It's been
some people believe that shouldn't be the case. Why should the Chief Justice have the freedom to stay on when whoever comes to government so she can freely discharge her duties? However, the police commander can't do that. Why should other people have that right, but the police who actually should carry out they are the frontline people can't do that? I think it's something we should look at in our constitution. If the person who is actually prosecuting the case, doing the investigation, has no job security, but the person sitting in court doing the overseeing this and has got security, I think it's something we needed to look at. But the call comes at a very important time. I've always said, even on this program, today, I don't feel much more secure than in 2015, 2016. I feel worse in terms of whether I'm safe or not. And it's not only about me, it's evident everywhere. And part of this insecurity, like I've always said, it's left at the doorstep of the president. These days, verbally, he's taking some actions, which is talk like this and other things. But the sequence of what people aligned to him, people identified as
members of his party have done and what the police attempted doing and what the powers belonging to the president discharged to other people have done tells me that what the president said is on one side, what actually happens on the ground is on the other side. When people, which other party has got a group which is so lawless and acting in this country? Does CPP have a group that you are aware of in the past 12 months that have been misbehaving, committing crimes? Does NDC have a group that you know of that have been going around misbehaving today? You can cite that, oh, NDC time it happened. But today, do we have some? We are talking about today. The president, I always say, have the power as the commander-in-chief to nip these things in the bud in terms of insecurity. But he does not have the courage to do it. Why does he not have the courage? Because the people belong to his party. If he moves too heavily on them, he gets a backlash. So, talk like this, beautiful, action, very scanty, results abysmal. So, President, we've listened to you. The police will do their job if you allow them to do their job. I think the policeman that arrested the people who, the suspended regional minister, should be identified and encouraged. Other regions, other districts, act like that. Defy the politicians. Do the professional work. And this country will support you. Politicians are not the solution to all the problems in this country. To an extent, we are probably the problems. And the regional minister is a good example of why politicians, or some politicians, are part of the problem. I support the president. If he can walk this talk, I will surely be behind him. But if this talk is left at a function so that the newspaper carries it, meanwhile the police commander is afraid of touching a miscreant in the community, then we won't get anywhere.
Right.
I'm grateful.
Just a quick response.
Okay.
I mean, not a response, but a view on
because he thinks it's from the politician. I mean, if the police will be partisan, Kwame thinks that it is from the politician.
Well, I will not add any more to the issues I've already raised. I have one more issue to address in respect of insecurity. That he raised the issue of insecurity. You see, we make partisan submissions for political gains. And nothing stops us because that's what we do. We are politicians. But there are issues that when we are addressing, we ought to dose down those partisan conduct, and that is security. You see, it is wrong for Kwame on this platform to say that the state of insecurity in this country is worse than before, and tries to situate this against the NDC era to say that, oh, in NDC era it was better. I mean, that he knows is not a fact.
Okay, you think it is not?
No, I mean,
okay,
he knows that, and you know that. Please. Two, issue of party people going on rampage. I must concede that nobody would ever want to see party people being lawless. Nobody in MPP. But if he wants to compare, because he was quick to say that, oh, some people will say it's happened in NDC era. I want him to say that he knows it as a fact that they did, in its worst form and shape. But if we want to address it in absolute terms. That look, something has gone wrong. I agree that some few individuals misconducted themselves. But don't do an override and stretch it to mean that, oh, there is widespread insecurity. That is not appropriate. And he's been on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. He is a senior member in Parliament, and he knows that when it gets to security matters, you don't. Even we as MPs, when security budget is being discussed, we restrain ourselves on matters that we have to debate on and matters that we don't have to debate on. So you don't come and say because party political gain, you would want to say there's a state of insecurity. To me, that is inappropriate. Well, you can't say that.
If he feels he's not secured because of certain happenings.
He doesn't have, hold on. He doesn't have a police officer. He drives in and out anytime. You don't have a police officer. Is there widespread lawlessness in Ghana? Let's be fair. Is there widespread? You are part of us. Is there widespread lawlessness in Ghana? No. We have a problem in our country where our security forces or security institutions need more logistics. That is a key thing. We have situations where people take the law into their hands because they feel they are close to a source of power in one way or the other. It is a matter of fact. But as a people, can we say that such conduct has led to a widespread insecurity? Is it the case that when some of these things happen, leadership takes these things up and addresses them? I am saying that it is wrong for NDC to now say that, oh, the president, upon hearing that the minister has acted in a certain manner, it's now wrong to have said that I'm suspending the president. NDC today.
No, he didn't say.
No. That is what they are saying. He says that he disagrees with the suspension and he will leave it for another debate.
Right.
So,
you said about
you said the suspension.
Legally, the right of the president to do that.
Does the president have the right to
say that? That's what he's asking.
Look at that. Look at the 284, 286. Okay. The person who has appointed somebody has the right to ensure
we'll not discuss that. I think that's what he said. We can.
Very well. So, if the man takes action, you said no, to the extent that judicial pronouncements are being linked to executive powers, the Kumasi conviction, you hear the NDC even criticizing and saying that, oh, the government could not punish them severe enough.
Okay, it's a pat in the back. I mean,
I'm happy
yes.
You have identified yourself with that statement.
Yes.
Is it about the government?
Of course.
Oh, so the executive,
the perception, Alex,
we have a duty.
Are you not worried about the perception that it is government
that
behind
is why we are having a debate.
Is it the same? Of course, it is a judiciary.
Right.
Are you not worried that the perception is that government is the one behind doing this? Or the executive is the one behind doing this?
Right.
Is it not the same judiciary?
Alex, are you not worried? Is it not the same judiciary who sent people to jail for speaking on radio and then actually said people who actually went and attacked the judiciary for setting them free?
It is a judiciary that did its work, but the perception out there is that the executive is behind it. Are you not worried about it?
Right. I feel disappointed.
You answer my question.
I feel disappointed. Not the supposed perception, by the fact that you yourself think that I should be worried. I am disappointed because we are dealing with separation of powers. We are dealing with the rule of law. It is our collective duty, whether journalists or a party member, to let the system run. If the judiciary has made a pronouncement and you think that the partisan argument that it is a government that has done it and that I should be worried, then in that case you are also encouraging that partisan argument.
I am only asking if you are not.
Because
I didn't say you should.
I don't expect Kwame. If a foot soldier somewhere is saying this, fine. But for him today to also add his voice to that call, it means that the NDC does not want the rule of law, does not believe in separation of powers.
Okay.
If you are criticizing the judiciary,
let's move on.
You should do so, but I'm sure you are aware that there's a new guideline, and it started in the NDC era. There's a new sentencing guideline. There is a new sentencing guideline. And if you are not aware, in our court system, there is even a provision in the Court Act, read section 63 of the Court Act, which allows some misdemeanor matters to be even brought out of court for settlement and all that. It is there. So if a court has pronounced on a matter and you want to say that there's a perception that the executive is behind, it means our judges are not independent. That is the impression you want to create.
Well, okay.
I'm surprised.
I have a last comment. You didn't answer my question, but I
am surprised.
I'll have a last comment. The comment is that thing.
You must spin him.
In the same country, Alex, when somebody expresses something with his mouth on radio, realizes his fault and apologizes, you sent him to jail. You actually find him. I'm talking about Munte 3.
Okay, because you went against him.
Exactly. And then the same time, the same judiciary are telling me that we have a fair judiciary in this country, and I have no doubt. and then somebody actually goes to attack the judiciary at their place of work, and you pat them in the back, and then tell me and find them a paltry sum of money, and which they were jubilating, and you tell me that that is a fair judiciary, believe me, if this is judiciary in this country, believe me, then you should expect more people to take the law into their own hand, because people will think that the justice that we get is based on who you are. And that perception, he knows and I know, that people believe that you get a kind of judgment you get based on who you are. Why should Muntie 3 go to jail and be fined huge sums of money for speaking, even wrongly, but somebody who actually attacked physically is patted at the back and find a paltry sum?
All right, Kwame, I'm grateful.
If this is what justice is, I'm afraid it doesn't look like that to us, the ordinary people.
The Daily Graphic has this story on page 17. Alex, I am moving on. I have moved on. Now, job creation key for priority for the youth.
With the greatest respect.
Alex, I have spent 30 minutes discussing.
My brother has raised an important matter. And as an officer of our court, if I sit here and I don't bring in some legal education, judges or others in the fraternity will question me, please. For every offense, it has its own corresponding sentencing.
Right.
When somebody is convicted of an offense, a judge is limited by law as to what he can do by way of sentencing. You have minimum, you have maximum, and a judge cannot go beyond.
Okay.
If it's an assault, the sentencing guideline, you will find the person, if the person is a first offender, is the first time he's had a brush with the law, the procedures are there, mitigation factors. Even after you've been convicted, you are not just sentenced. There is a plea for mitigation. Remember the Tachuchi Kata case. One of the issues that went on appeal, that the High Court judge in sentencing him erred in law by not allowing a plea of mitigation to be factored.
Because and of the case you
can I finish? Can I finish?
Alex, since we don't have
it's not everything that you can make partisan arguments on.
What you are saying,
matters of law.
Kwame, what you are saying as a
Alex, it depends on the case you file.
Alex,
please. The Attorney General decided to file the case that would determine the weakest sentence. I'm telling you, they decided to file the case that would yield the weakest sentence.
Okay.
That is what I'm saying.
Gentlemen, I am grateful.
We'll
move on. I was only talking about
it was deliberate.
The perception of the people. But let's move on to Daily Graphic, page 17 this morning. Job creation key priority for youth.
This is our Napo brothers.
All right. Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs has launched its first comprehensive national employment policy in April 2015. Ghana launched that policy in April 2015 with the aim of tackling the growing unemployment challenge in the country. Now, the core objective of the policy was to create gainful employment for the country's increasing labor force. Now, that's a story on the Daily Graphic, but the Today newspaper has this story. The TUC jabs government and says that it has rebuked the Akufo-Addo administration for failing to compile a credible employment data 1 year after assuming the reins of government. In a press statement on the 2018 State of the Nation address, which President Akufo-Addo presented to Parliament on Thursday, February 8, 2018, the TUC asked why would the president not have statistics on employment, even though he was elected based mainly on his party's promise to create millions of jobs for Ghanaians. The TUC recalled that after the 2018 budget statement, it emphasized the need for unemployment data. However, like previous governments, the Akufo-Addo-led government did not take it seriously. The response the president gave to a question on employment statistics during the recent interaction with journalists, the statement said was a clear indication of the degree of importance government attaches to employment statistics. The president is famously reported to have said that I don't know statistics on jobs created. That's the TUC talking there. Kwame, let me begin with you. The TUC is thinking that once the president was elected based on job creation, by now, after 1 year, the president should have been able to tell Ghanaians that we have this number of unemployment people in our country. We have created this number of jobs. Is the TUC giving the president a lot more work? Well, thank you very much, my brother. I don't think the TUC, we needed to wait for the TUC to tell us
or to compel the president to give us the statistics. Indeed, all the political parties are aware, and so much aware, that the biggest problem we face today is our inability to provide opportunities for our younger generation. Somebody finishes school, university, or any training, can't find job. It is building up to be a huge national security issue. And indeed, all political parties must find a solution to it. The NPP in opposition proposed a barrage of sweet things, which we believe, and have not hidden from it, which were lies, and pretended that these policies, when implemented, will create jobs. Today, the president can't even tell one. But
which of them were
let me tell you this. The president called
all these projects are about to take off. Some of them have already taken off.
Did you say about to take off?
Well, the one village in the 3 northern.
Should it be difficult for if the ones you just mentioned, free SHS, the president can tell us out of the free SHS, this new number of jobs were created. What would have been wrong with that? The president called the agric minister the champion of farmers in Ghana when he was delivering his State of the Nation address. The agric minister has already told us he's created 750,000 jobs. Least the president could have mentioned that one as jobs he's created. But he can't, because he knew that was a dodgy figure. Those farmers were already existing farmers who were helped with seedlings and other services. I agree, it's a good thing. If you provide improved seedlings to farmers, it's a good thing, I support it. But those are not new farmers. So the president is unable to mention even one job created. Apart from, of course, his daughter got a job. The members of government, Honorable Safwa Mafu and co, relatives have gotten a job. The finance minister's relatives have gotten new jobs. But he couldn't mention those ones in parliament because that one is not jobs for everybody. Those ones are exclusive jobs. So the president is unable to do that. Did you hear the labor minister saying the number of jobs that were created? No. So they haven't. The sad one is that while this government can't create jobs for anybody, they are embarrassing themselves to the extent that it's no longer funny. What am I talking about? As an industry player in the built environment, I believe another way of creating jobs in this country is to activate activity in the built environment. Because you see, when you're building things, you create jobs. Like I've said, the about $1 billion worth of health infrastructure that are sitting idle today. Do you know the amount of jobs that can unleash on this country if those facilities are operationalized? Hospitals here and there, nurses, doctors, as we sit. Qualified doctors are sitting at home. Adaklu doesn't even have one qualified medical doctor. But there's a doctor sitting at home which this government, just 250, 270 of them, doesn't want to employ. And they are talking about jobs. These are defined jobs that are in dire need in this country. They can't even employ them. And the president goes on embarrassing himself by talking about savings being done because, according to his unique way of understanding procurement, when you send a request to Public Procurement Authority and they reject it, it's savings. No wonder when the president needed to pay contractors, when they needed to build roads, and they refused to do that, perhaps he thinks that those are savings, so you don't pay your children's school fees. It's a savings in your pocket, isn't it? You see investment in your children's education, which you refuse to do or negligently refuse to do, you think it's money you have saved. No wonder, instead of the finance minister helping the president to build infrastructure that will become national assets, roads, hospitals, schools, railways, other things, he decided to equate the persona of the finance minister as a national asset. So today, if I need road and I can't get, I should look at the finance minister and see him as a national asset in terms of road. If I need hospitals in Adaklu I can't get, the finance minister is actually the national asset in terms of health infrastructure. And I'm saying that this goes to all political parties. If anybody in NPP who is a professional in built environment should raise his hand and tell the country that he advised the president that when you actually get rejected, when a project gets rejected at a public procurement, it's a savings. Raise your hand. Mr. President,
It is an embarrassing thing you are doing. You don't make any savings when your project is rejected.
Isn't it a simple thing that if indeed a project has issues, or perhaps it's overpriced and it is rejected, it doesn't make savings?
The problem is that, according to the Public Procurement Act, look, your request can be rejected simply because the attached document, maybe the company that is supposed to carry out the single source procurement hasn't their registration at how do you call it, Registrar General document is expired, so we won't accept it, which is acceptable. It may have nothing to do with the cost. If that is the case, the president is saying that
the ones that have cost implications, you don't think the president or the procurement people have saved Ghana some monies by rejecting those contracts?
We need hospitals. There's somebody who needs to be the hospital.
But not overpriced hospitals.
No, did the president talk about any overpricing? In any case.
Well, the president could not have gone into details. But
because look, don't go there. I will tell you, it has nothing. Okay, what about the ones that have been approved for him? He says 50% of them have been approved. Does that mean that is a loss to the state? I am saying that the political parties don't run away from the temptation that all you need is an economist and a lawyer to say that you have formed a government. Use professionals. I'm saying that the president, look, I on my professional architects platform, I know some people are aligned to NPP, some are aligned to NDC. The political parties should use these professionals, and I'm sure if he used them, he wouldn't have been embarrassing them himself this way. You don't make any savings simply because your procurement plan have been, or your procurement request have been rejected.
So, all right.
Going back to
the
job creation, and I'm saying that this government, by now, should have been having a factory in Adaklu, employing a minimum of 1,000 people, according to them. As we speak, there's not a spot in Adaklu that is hosting anything. And you are fully much aware that the so-called...
They have not come to Adaklu yet?
Well, I mean, TV3,
because
TV3 knows
I just returned from the Bongo district where the Special Initiative Minister was there about these issues of one village, one dam, and 16 communities have been earmarked for it. So perhaps, yes.
The rainy season is coming now. Yeah. Now they are trying to reduce our expectation. They say they are coming to do low-cost or low-tech dam. Ghanaians were looking for high-tech dams that you promised. Now low-tech dam. We don't even know what the meaning of low-tech dam. Okay. And I'm saying that, you know that the only site they went and cut saw that they were building a factory. TV3 covers this country widely. Go there and see whether there's any production going on. TV3 knows Adaklu very well. You know the territory of Adaklu like at the back of your palm. Go there and show me where the factory is. This government cannot create jobs because they lie themselves into power. They think they can lie themselves and keep themselves in power. And I'm saying that job creation is not propaganda. When you create jobs, people will see it. When you create job for your daughter, your cousin, the finance minister create job for the sister, and then people belonging to his private company. When the senior minister create job for his children, that is no job creation. That is just friends and family job creation. And I'm not a member of his family. You are not a member of his family. My brother is not a member of his family. So there's no job for us.
Kwari, I'm grateful. I don't know if you're marking.
Maybe he got some job, I don't know.
Is it?
You can tell me.
Is it TUC putting too much on the president? Or perhaps the president said we should give him 3 months. The Ghana Statistical Service will need to do a lot more to be able to get these employment figures, which consistently seem to elude us. So we just talk about employment without knowing the real figures on the ground.
Well, not too long ago, we had an information minister announcing that jobs in excess of 1 million had been created. Soon thereafter, a sector minister came out to dispute those figures. And I'm sure all of us felt that there was some level of insincerity in that figure that came out. So if today we have a president who decides to act with sincerity and candor by saying that, look, some efforts have been made, jobs have been created, but I don't have the numbers. I think such a person must be commended. You don't take him to the cleaners.
But his minister is out there with the numbers.
Oh, hold on. The minister was speaking on issues about his own sector. The president was asked about the general job creation, the total number. He couldn't have singled out agriculture. Minister of State, Minister for Agriculture can speak for the agri sector, specifically what he has done by way of this planting for food.
Would he have been wrong by saying that I don't have the general figure, but in the agri sector we have created?
Well, it's a matter of choice.
Okay, right.
He wants to be comprehensive and deal with the matter. Now, let's talk about the 3,000 jobs which through EcoBank is coming on stream. Are we saying that the situation is hopeless? No. I think that when we talk about unemployment, we may also have to look at certain critical areas of the economy that we need people to have training in. I'll give you a few examples. Around December, I engaged a friend who is a real estate developer. I visited the site and I saw people happily working. I said, look, these are from Togo. They are tilers. These are from Togo. They are doing the POP. And I said, but why do you have Togolese doing this job? Don't we have Ghanaians? He said they can't do the job. We don't have many Ghanaians in that field. So you want to find them and later on I engaged other friends and they were all telling me the same thing. Again, we have Polish guys in this country who are taking over the masonry work that our own local artisans could do. So you have people coming in from China and other parts of Asia, from Europe, who are engaged by companies, foreign companies in Ghana, doing artisanal jobs that Ghanaians can do. These are matters we have to address. And if you interview them, you ask them, they will talk about quality and all that. So I am saying that beyond the politics that we play, state institutions must be seen to be working. How can we have somebody coming to Spintex Road to be doing masonry work, doing by day, as we call it, when a Ghanaian must have that opportunity, and they will be employed to come to Ghana? You see them all over. We see them in our communities. They live in apartments. They are not executives, but they are doing artisanal jobs, which should have been reserved. Who issue them the permits?
So we are not tackling that.
I am saying I want to look at it not with partisan. So there is a challenge in the country where even people do not have the skill to take up certain jobs at that level. We have challenge in the country where people have the skill, but they are not getting the opportunity because those who are investing in that sector believe that or think that they must bring people from abroad. So we have to check these things as one of the steps to address the unemployment situation. Then, the bigger picture of creating jobs. You see, if Kwame is talking as somebody belonging to a party that has never been in power, I will not challenge it. Because, look, they are also warming up to come. But you were there for 8 years.
What's that?
I'm not talking about you as an individual. Your party ruled this country for 8 years. 2009 to 2016. Your party ruled from 92 to 2000. So in this Fourth Republic, NDC as a party has ruled this country for 16 years. NPP, we are in our 9th year. Now, for all the major social intervention programs that we have in this country, that we have in this Fourth Republic, these were introduced by the NPP administration. Let me list them. Free maternal care, health insurance, Metro Mass, school feeding, Youth employment.
Have they created the jobs we need?
Oh, hasn't youth employment created the jobs? Health insurance. Right. Don't water down important issues by deliberately asking some of these rhetorical questions. Please, I respect you. You allowed him to flow. I don't like that.
Alex,
I'm not taking offense, but yes, I've noticed a certain part. Please relax. Let me make the point.
You won't take offense, but I'm only
you know it. Please don't ask me.
Okay.
I am telling you that these social intervention programs, none of it can be attributed to the making of the NDC. Then the famous free SHS, which they said was not possible, has come. You had the opportunity. You had 16 years.
We are still talking about job creation.
Please.
Job creation.
Kwame, I deliberately,
Alex,
I was just reading, pretending I was not listening to you. But I was taking down notes.
Alex, go on. But the key thing is whether these... Kwame, you allow him. But he should have been listening to me. Kwame, allow him, please. The key thing is whether these interventions have created the jobs that we need. Alex,
as a matter of fact, you may argue on quantum. But I can say for a fact that health insurance, NHIA, has employed no less than 1,000 people across the country. Direct jobs. Indirect jobs, we cannot put a number on it. National Youth Employment Program, more than 100,000 people are on it, on the scheme, various schemes. The jobs have been created. The Metro Mass that we have, drivers have been employed. Conductors have been employed.
City Express.
Other people have gained employment, and it's providing social services. The free maternal care has benefited Ghanaians. The school feeding program, which has been expanded. I am saying that if the NDC tells anybody that it did better, I will challenge them with these facts. Okay. That you cannot. And Kwame is here. If I am wrong, he should correct me. He should point to me a single social intervention program that out of their 16-year rule, they introduced and implemented successfully. I am demanding a single social intervention.
How would you react to those who argue that these interventions are just drops?
In the ocean?
Yes, and that we need that giant enterprise to get out of this issue of employment. And so what?
Thank you.
The two parties, what you have done,
please don't make it sweeping that the two parties are not the same.
But the two parties have ruled Ghana from 92 to now.
Hold on. The way you put
so
it.
So if we want to blame unemployment on the two parties,
I am saying that we are not the same. We are at least better than
Okay, you say you are at least better.
And yes, and I've given you facts to say that they've had 16 years.
Okay.
We are in our 9th year.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that all the social intervention programs that we have in this Fourth Republic were all introduced by the NPP.
Okay.
Maslock.
Okay. I am running out of time.
No, I need to land. I need to land. I need to land. So now on the issue of job creation, that the industrialization drive, he should not mislead himself and his own party people by saying that we have lied to Ghanaians.
Where are the factories?
Please.
Okay.
Don't mislead yourself.
It's just the second year of the NPP administration.
You know that the necessary support systems have been put in place.
By who?
The necessary support systems are being put in place.
You see, the pressure you have in government.
Oh,
the lies. You see the pressure you have.
What is lies?
You see the pressure you have.
So don't worry at all.
Alex, is 8 o'clock.
Don't worry at all. At least I know that in Winneba, real estate developers have started something, and by June they will have no less than 50 units. And the commencement of the project itself, all right, the real estate initiative at Jane Genazi in Winneba is going to create jobs
for the people.
At least I also know that the Winneba golf course has also commenced, and by May it is going to be commissioned. I know that some ladies have been trained in soap making And that soap making, they are starting their own small scale business, which is going to provide supplies, going to supply to the University of Education and the state institutions to create jobs.
Let me correct one
that there is going to be
Alex, I'm grateful.
A bottled water company to be established in
one of the
let Kwame wrap up and then
let me land. The
time is good. Kwame, it's 8 o'clock.
Right.
I'm grateful.
Right.
Alex,
your duty is not to be neutral but to be fair.
Yeah.
Your duty is not to be neutral.
I'm trying to be neutral and fair.
No, you want to deny me.
Alex,
you may have your ideology. You may have your ideology, which may be.
Alex, I'm grateful.
Let me finish.
Let me tell you. I think, Alex, I think your point is made.
Right. Let me finish.
Alex, I think your point is made.
No, you can't tell me.
I have hit the top of the hour, and I need to.
No, I allowed him to land well. He interjected.
Okay,
let me finish.
Alex, land.
With respect.
No, you're not finished.
Let me finish.
Yes.
With respect. I'm saying that in terms of job creation and what he raises on issue of businesses, I'm saying that apart from what I've listed, in Winneba at least.
But you have said it already.
I've not finished.
Alex, please,
at least,
because of time, don't go back. You just wrap
I'm not going back. I am landing on the last point I didn't make. What did you hear?
Which is?
Let me tell you one of the lies the president told.
Did you hear of the sachet water and bottled water company?
You just mentioned it.
Very well.
Right.
That is
but it's everywhere.
Okay.
You don't need a additional one.
You don't need an additional one.
All right.
Listen, you don't need an additional one to create.
Alex, I am grateful.
One of the things the president said, which was also unfortunately a lie. As we sit here, EcoBank is laying off people. The president should come and tell us where the 3,000 jobs are being created in EcoBank. It's a lie. Somebody just giving an indication of what they can do to retrain people, and you are saying that is job creation. And let me tell you, I wish you had time for me to list for you the kind of interventions we did. And why this country? Let me tell you one.
Okay. One social intervention.
All right. The singular.
You're not asking questions. I've not.
No, Alex.
When you are making a submission, you interject.
No, Alex, I am wrapping up.
Asking a single social intervention.
Alex,
mention.
Listen.
Mention.
Let me tell you this.
Alex,
Metromas was just renamed. It was an existing company. All the assets and everything.
All right,
they bought new buses. Look, the biggest transformation in healthcare.
No. What is the education program?
I am grateful. Gentlemen, I am grateful. Thanks so much for your time. Members of Parliament for the Futu constituency, Honorable Alexander Fenyon Makin, and a member of the NPP, Kwame Agboja, is a member of Parliament for the Adaku constituency and a member of the NDC. I am grateful for your Monday morning. Those of you who sent in your comments, we'll take them in the course of the show. We're grateful for your time with us. Stay with us. There is more after this.
Welcome back. So, of course, health and education seem to be very top priorities in the current government, but there are some misfortunes facing some people in the north, affecting their healthcare accessibility and also education. Of course, in the Wa East, the poor road network and lack of bridges over rivers in the Wa East district of the Upper West region is slowing down effective health care. It takes about 3 days to travel from some health facilities to the district capital due to this. Bright Nana Anfu was there, and he reports that medicines and vital documents get signed late while patients queue for days waiting for healthcare providers. This is Mission and is supported by Star Ghana with funding from UK8, Danida and EU. And we have a video on that for you to see.
Hey.
Daily, health workers struggle to beat time. Yet, saving lives is a duty they must perform. A poor road network hinders healthcare delivery. No two communities are joined by a tarred road in the Wa East district. Commercial vehicles ply route less. It is not profitable. Commuting from one end to the other is therefore a headache. Two water bodies separate the district. Funsi, the capital, is on one side with over 20 villages, and Gbelenga, another community with over 100 villages, on the other.
you cannot cross to the other side of the district without crossing the river. The water is low now, the tides are low, and so I can easily walk across. Motorbikes and vehicles, four-wheel drives particularly, can also cross. This will enable you to access the other part of the district.
Then the bigger of the two, the Kulien River. It takes courage to cross even at this time of the year. It is safe to cross at this time, but impossible when the river is full.
That's the scale you need to. There's a certain scale that you need to get to move the car from there. That scale is always gotten by these drivers who have worked here over and over again. This is exactly what happens here on the Kulien River every day. You sit on it, then it crosses.
Go.
But this one, it can't go.
It's no go. It's too much. Water is too much.
Can't go up like this.
It's flowers. It's no day. It's
flower cover flowers.
Yes,
all.
It's carved.
That's
car park. Water is calm. It's there.
The water.
There's the car. The park here.
It go all the way there.
Yeah,
Top.
Yeah, car park here. Water is calm. It's fly.
He's trying to tell me how the river can get filled up to the extent that you won't even see the vegetation around. We parked our car about some 5 minutes drive away. He said the water can get there so that you can't even park there when the water is filled up.
Medical consumables are not delivered on time. Documents are not signed early enough. Healthcare delivery is delayed. Pregnant women who need healthcare don't get it. They sit for hours waiting for healthcare officials who turn up late.
We have to travel more distance than the other district. So time that we would have used to work is always lost as a result of long travel hours. And aside that, the risk of being on the bike is very, very, very high.
District health officials have, however, devised means to deal with the problem.
In terms of logistic provision, what we do is to provide some at that section, building a section for them, where the storekeeper will have to move from here to that place to serve them. And when there's the need for them to what we cannot provide, then we make a requisition for them to go to the medical store at the region to pick that one.
But this doesn't solve the entire problem. Their plea is for bridges to be constructed on the two water bodies.
The road network system in Wa is actually posing a threat to health issues in the area. Within the Fonsi township, that is the district capital, sometimes we just use the grader to sip within, but the assembly will not have that capacity to finance graveling or opening up a road to link some communities.
If central government doesn't come in, that road, that's where if you have to cross 3 big rivers before you get to those communities. And so, in fact, for the past 3 months, none of us could get there in order to render services to them. Through nobody's fault. So, if central government comes in, just open up the place, make sure the road network is available. Then, on the ground, we will also be filling up the patches there.
Quality healthcare cannot be achieved until the two separated parts of the district are linked by 2 bridges.
So not only do they have to battle health issues, but of course they also have to deal with education as well. And for hours, teachers struggle to teach the children due to the large numbers in classrooms. In some kindergarten classes in the Wa East district of the Upper West region, there are about 240 children in class, but teachers say congestion is huge and a hindrance to teaching and learning at these basic levels. But let's talk about it now, because we have the MP for Wa East in the Upper West region in the person of Honorable Godfrey Tangu Bayon in our presence. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister.
So you saw right there on the screens what the plight of people in your district is, and this is a real challenge to healthcare. But I would want to know, since you deal with them directly, what is the real situation like?
Thank you, my sister. And I want to thank my brother Bright for taking the pains to travel to Wa East and to have seen and filmed what the real situation is.
Right.
In fact, there's no exaggeration of anything that has been shown on the screen. That is the real situation. And that is what the situation is in Ghana here. As we sit in Accra, as we sit in Kumasi and other things with facilities, others in other parts of the country are just struggling to survive.
Right.
You have seen it where you have, from one part of the district, you have to travel to the other or to the capital. Sometimes, especially in the rainy season, you just cannot go because there are two rivers that need to be crossed. But unfortunately, all efforts have not been successful in bridging those rivers. So in fact, people farm, and even how to send their products to marketplaces is a problem.
Right.
So the people get so impoverished, diseases attack people, and at certain points, medical officers cannot reach them.
Right.
So it's so bad, my sister.
Right, maybe you'd like to touch on it because you just came back from there as well. How do the people in that district feel about their plight, or do they think it's the norm across board and so they're okay with it?
They are simply disappointed that there's that kind of neglect. We just returned from Wa East just last Thursday. That's our second trip. We were there in October. Just last Thursday, we made our second trip and returned to Accra. It's the situation we just saw with the road is still the same. The assembly cannot fix that road. In fact, putting a steel bridge on that river or the two rivers will require huge funding, which the assembly cannot do. They are only appealing to central government to step in. Now, the problem in Wa East district is simple. Now, if you build the two highways, there are two highways. There's one from Fian through another district through to Funsi. And there is one highway from Busa all the way to Holomuni and beyond, Katwa and beyond. Now, if central government comes in and construct these two highways, Wa East problem will begin to go down.
Right.
The problem of teacher accommodation, the problem of healthcare issues, it is because the roads are bad. Drivers will not ply there because if you put a new vehicle there in 2 months, it will go bad. So all the problems is as a result of the fact that the two highways are terribly bad. Resolving the problem will mean central government coming in. All the what the assembly can do is to just do reshaping, which in itself is not good because you keep getting the road narrower. So you speak to the people and they said, look at where we are. There's a community that we went to, which will be showing very soon, the water that they drink. And they told me that they've spoken to the member of parliament. They have themselves been able to dig a borehole. They're looking for some money to top up. They've spoken to their member of parliament and the district chief executive. They are working on getting help for them. So once these roads are open, non-governmental organizations can also go in. Private persons can go in there and put up businesses to see these communities live well. But for now, the situation is so bad that sometimes you go there and you look at the way they live, you feel so. Their roads are not good. Their water is not good. They don't have electricity. And even the healthcare there is bad. And so a lot will have to be done if we want to see these people really live the way we want them to live.
Very well. Honorable Bayon, you have heard your people cry out to you, and as a stakeholder and also a partaker in this solving the issues. What do you think you have done, you have instituted to help deal with the plight of the people in your district?
Thank you very much. As my brother has spoken, that is really the picture down there. And it's a complex one, because the district is so vast, yet sparse in population. We have dotted communities all over. And so sometimes how to deal with them is even administratively, it's a problem. If you have an item that you have to send to your constituents, you spend 3-4 times the amount that other MPs will have to spend. This teacher accommodation, I think over the years that I have been MP, I tried to see in a way how to solve it. And the best I could do with the limited resources was to buy roofing zinc and distribute to the communities to also put up a structure so that the teachers can manage with that. That has been what I have done in that direction. As I said, I was once also a DCE in WA. Then the WA East, WA West, and WA Municipal were one. I was ever the DCE there. And my brother, some of the roles that you have seen, it is because some of us, we did certain things to even open up some of them. Otherwise, time passed, it was just impossible to get to some of the places. You only needed a bicycle or to go on foot to get there. But at least we were able to open up some of the roads, but which needs central government working on. Unfortunately, like he said, these 2 roads are so cardinal. In fact, there are even 3, because there's another road from Logo down to Chasia, which also needs working on. And over the years, we have tried. I remember this Kulum and Ambalara Bridge. When I became a Minister of State at Rose for 1 year, I put that project under American Bridge Project for it to be crossed. And all things were advanced. It has advanced to the stage of parliamentary approval. Unfortunately, we left office. We have inquired. They will say, oh, they are on it. It will soon come on, and it has never come on. If you have followed the road from Wa through towards Busa, you see that the first 5 kilometers was tarred. And since we left office 2008, that from where we stopped, not an inch has been added on it to it. But I thought that as government we should be progressing. At least if we were able to do 5 kilometers and the other government also added another 5 or 10, then this time we should have reached somewhere. But unfortunately, it is not happening.
I see. The other issue has to do with the health facilities in the area. For instance, the health center at Holomini, where even a delivery bed is a challenge for them. Holomini serves about 7,000 communities there. And if you go there, you will see what women are exposed to. They simply don't have what it takes to take care of them. They are pregnant, and yet they go there and healthcare becomes a problem more than a solution. So I don't know what your office as a member of parliament is doing as a result of that.
It seems the Honourable has some documents to that.
Yes. First, our main problem is to get a district hospital. Because you can't have a district without a district office. But you see, our district is so complex that if you even put a district hospital at Funsi, it is only the 24 communities within the Sisala area that can access that. Bulenga, Logo, and all those, in fact, about 80% of the people in Wa East even cannot access it. So
it is closer to Wa than
to
Funsi.
So they go to Wa
than to
go to Funsi. So it's a complex situation, and so if we are to have hospitals or polyclinics, Funsi should have a district hospital, Bulenga should have a polyclinic, and Logo as well. Then we enhance the other clinics. So like I'm saying, when you gave your report, and I saw it
on the
Holomini Health Center, I saw it and I was bad about it. So normally MPs have some 50-something thousand for from the National Health Insurance to do whatever help you can also do to your people. When I've gotten that, and you can see from this, this is the request I've made. I want to give some delivery bears. I want to give some motorbikes. I want to give a delivery set and theater table. That is what the best the money I have can do. And you also see, even with education, you can see copiers, printers, scanners, digital camera. That is what, those are some of the things that district directorate has asked for. And I'm getting very soon, maybe before Easter, these items would have gone to the district.
How well are you lobbying to get, for instance, central government's attention to fix these two highways? Because for me, 80% of Why East problem will be dealt with if the two roads are fixed.
Yes, we have been making the appeals, but it looks like central government always seem to be confronted with lack of funds. You see, especially that Funsi road, which runs from Wa through Kojiperi and all down to Funsi. It's about 100 and something kilometers. So sometimes government thinks that they don't have the funds to do it and that sort of thing. So otherwise we have been appealing. That one, the lobbying, we have been doing it only, unfortunately. Now they say they are going to continue with the Busa to Bulenge road. They said they are going to do some kilometers of it in the course of this year.
Very well. On that note, we do hope that this platform has afforded the honorable member of Wa East in the Upper West region, Godfrey Bayon, to make a passionate appeal out there to government to do some construction work in the Upper West for them. But certainly we'll take a break at this point. We'll be back with more here on New Day. Stay with us.
Thank you very much. We're wrapping up the conversation, but you know that the president is set to assess his ministers today. One-on-one. He begins today. I don't know what your own assessment is.
Going to take a lot of time. So many of them. I don't know how it's going to
go. But I think it makes the work easier for the president because before he appointed the ministers, he outlined why he was bringing them on and what they were bringing on board. So it will make it easier for them. At least then you have your reference points, your terms of reference. So, okay, Mr. Boache Jako, I said we told you to do reliable, consistent, affordable energy. Have you been able to
all ministers?
Yes.
And
all of them.
their deputies, including ministers of state.
Yes,
that's a lot of work for the president.
It is, but I think it's good. It's good enough. It feels like having, you know, speech day and then your parents coming to your classroom to find out
open
your
day.
term. Open day, exactly. Finding out what you've done over the term. Have you been naughty? Have you been good? So it's a good time with the president. I look forward to him actually putting those who the general populace thinks are not working on their feet and telling them because of
these are 110 ministers.
110. That's a lot of work.
But he can't do all today.
No, I don't think. I'm sure he'll spread it over a period of time.
So at the end of it, we'll see some
reshuffle
marked and some.
We hope so.
In fact, last Thursday when I quizzed some of the ministers whether they see a reshuffle coming up, they said what they don't see. And I doubt there will be reshuffle because the president himself consistently has said that he's happy with the way his ministers are doing their work. And more so when he went to Parliament and he gave plaudits to some ministers, indefatigable, intrepid.
Because,
you know.
Johnny, because we know that in the game of football, for instance, the thing is that you don't change a winning team. Now, if the team is winning and the president does the assessment today and says that I am either dropping this or dropping that, then what is the president be telling us?
If he doesn't reshuffle, then what we are looking forward to him doing is the specific people we have mentioned, who the whole populace seems to agree that they're not doing their work well, will then come with a new vibe. We actually feel the impact that this meeting has, and then maybe they can stay in. But if even after this meeting, we don't feel that change, then maybe it really isn't the winning team.
But if the president says that they have the men to do the work, if there's 110, I'm sure there are 210 more men that we could use to swap. The point is that, I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily Mr. A. If he can't do the work, take him off and put somebody else there.
Because
if
I think it's not that they don't have potential, but maybe they're just put in the wrong place to do, you know, a mandate that you've put upon him. But he doesn't understand it because that's not where he's best functioning. So maybe move him to a place where he'll be more functional and he'll still be part of the winning team.
I dare say, though, that even our president at the time was Attorney General and Minister for Justice. Then he became Foreign Affairs Minister. So you can perform in many different, you know, portfolios. I think, though, that for a minister for Agric, who went to Parliament and said that the 4 lambing well must be defeated. We know what the president said before he was made minister. Right. Now, we are hoping that, Agric grew at a record low of 0.04% in 2016. We're hoping that things will change. Have things changed? How does that affect our importation of food? And for example, how does that save us forex or foreign exchange? Right. Okay, do we earn money? Are we able to grow enough to export? In terms of the one district, one factory and planting for food and jobs, how are they connected? Right. So that we're told that the factories will be set up where the raw materials are. Are we doing that? Is that being done? What's the plan? If there's no clear laid out plan, I don't believe in the point that, they have a 4-year mandate, so take time, let's do first year. And Robert, so if you are not if the first year is not right, the second year may not be right, the third year, and before you know, 4 years is gone, and we will do much time.
But Johnny, seriously, do you think, for instance, that a ministry like the sanitation ministry can't do any magic in 1 year? I have been thinking about this whole issue of the Ministry of Sanitation, and I think that we got it wrong. I mean, I do not see a sanitation ministry doing any magic. No.
Well, but the minister said it is not his job to go and be sweeping.
Yes, you see, the problem of sanitation is one that we need to tackle from the beginning. I would love to see a program that goes back to the basics, kindergarten, creche, where the kids are told or taught that littering is bad.
Is dangerous for you.
Now, that's where we need to start from. And that's a whole 10, 20-year thing. Because in other parts of the world, you see, people know that littering is bad. They won't drop litter anywhere. That is why their places are clean. Now, if we set up a ministry today and says that clean Accra, I tell you, if you give that ministry 4 years, it can't do because you go.
Let me go on your tangents, because I don't think that education has stopped. I remember even when I was in kindergarten, I was still taught that but we don't punish for that thing. We don't. There's no punishment for it, and so you think it's okay, and people keep doing it.
To the US, to Copenhagen, wherever it is, and even when nobody is watching, they wouldn't dare drop. But it's not here. So it's a mental thing. And to think that we're voting, we spend 1.4 billion cedis every year to solve sanitation issues, and it seems it's going nowhere. So the president
has a mandate to educate us, remind us, and punish people who offend. And then that's where it comes from. Because, to go back to kindergarten, it will be ingrained. But if I see my father doing that, then I think it's okay, and I follow it. So punishments, education.
When the president said last year that we're going to have sanitation marshals, where are they?
And so he should remind him that that's what he said. And so he should deliver on the mandate, isn't
it? The minister has to be reminded by the president.
Well, we are allowed to forget once in a while. And so just in case it's been forgotten, today when they have their one-on-one meeting, each other, yes, you say, President, this is what you said, so I have to do it. How do I go about it? Supposing you didn't have...
Go and see no more. All right, John, let me wish this guy, Christian Atu Howard, a staff of the Pharmaceutical Department of International Maritime Hospital, a happy belated birthday. Last Saturday was your birthday.
It was.
Happy belated birthday from Elvis Dapo, the editor of the Finder. Hey, to my guys in Wa and Bongo and Bolga, I'm back safe in Accra. Thanks so much for the reception. We'll stay in touch. I'm sure a lot more will be working closer.
And thanks to Oscar Apima. He's an ardent viewer of us. He's always sending us messages to remind us that he's out there. All the best as you
Oscar Apima, Elvis Daco, and to Stanza One and his wife. Have a good morning, and we'll see you tomorrow. Yes, Valentine is coming up. Stop dodging. Make yourselves available.